All right, folks, I know from talking to my friends about this episode that I could rant for about an hour. So we're going to try to go through some cons and worst cons about Season 8, Episode 3 as fast as possible in order not to waste your time. First, we got to bitch about the episode. And then we got to bitch about the fan base being wrong about the episode. Well, what's some of the ways that people complained about this episode that they were correct to complain about? The first and foremost, of course, is the Dothraki charge. This basically seemed like the production trying to get rid of all the horses so that they could save money. So they killed, 1,000 Dothraki, even though Daenerys should have, 40,000 Dothraki. In the first 2 minutes of the episode, I guess to scare us, and also, again, to kill all the horses, that was fucking retarded. Other minor points about tactics in that battle, having your catapults outside of the city and only using them for 10 seconds. Major problem. Your trench being only 5 feet long that's supposed to burn a bunch of the undead. Big problem. Using both of your dragons to immediately pursue the Night King instead of using them as much as possible, even as much as you did use them, to burn the undead, which is supposedly the only way you're supposed to be able to kill wights. Another thing is, does Dragon Glass just instantly shut off wights when you hit them with it? Because Dragon Glass kills others, but the wights are skeletal and don't have organs to stab. Okay. Second point that's really bad about the episode. Jaime, Sam, Tyrion, Varys, Podrick, Brienne should be dead. Or at least more of them should be dead than who survived, okay? Especially the fact that there was 10 straight minutes of them basically being alone amongst thousands of undead and somehow didn't get stabbed to death. You notice how a lot of times when it's a character who's supposed to be killed by a wight, the wights have knives. When the character is not supposed to be killed by the wights are just trying to bite you like a Resident Evil zombie. That's fucking stupid. What's a couple more bad parts of the episode? Honestly, I don't have a whole lot more to complain about than those, but I might think of another one here in a minute. But let's get more to what I wanted to make this episode about, which is why a lot of the fans were wrong about this episode. Number one, the episode was not too dark. You either watched a shitty pirated version of this episode, you watched the episode in a way too overly lit room, or you don't know how to adjust the settings of your screen. The episode was not too dark. You're too stupid. The next thing is, Arya's not a Mary Sue. It makes perfectly fine sense why Arya was the one to kill the Night King, because look, have you seen the Night King? A lot of people expected some final showdown sword fight with this guy. This guy who is a fucking high-level necromancer who can just raise the dead with a gesture, who has all sorts of powerful fucking magic. Also, the Night King is very well aware that Dragonglass and Valyrian Steel can kill him instantly. The Night King is, ironically, a glass cannon. As in, he knows that the humans know how to kill him. And you have to make him think he has won for him to expose himself. And even when he was attacked from behind by a literal fucking ninja, he's still, like a thug, turned around instant transmission, and caught her by the throat, and she had to, do a sneaky move to kill him. And yet there's people who are claiming who's basically the secondary protagonist of the show for the past 6 fucking seasons. Arya was like a Mary Sue, she just, here's a Mary Sue thing. If Lyanna Mormont had stabbed the Night King, that's a Mary Sue moment. Like Lyanna Mormont stabbing that fucking ogre in pretentious, ridiculous fan service, which has been the problem with this show for a while. Everyone's like, oh, the first 2 episodes were good. No, the first 2 episodes were Marvel witty banter fan service. They might as all been, instead of having a skin of wine, they might as all have been at the shawarma restaurant. All right, fuck off. You're fucking easily manipulated. First 2 episodes this season, nothing happened but witty Avengers dialogue. Fuck off. This episode, some important shit happened, and everybody complains because they didn't get what they want. And besides the fucking crybabies who are unwilling to recognize that Arya is one of the main characters and has been, like, more or less in training for 6 seasons to pull off that one move that needed to be pulled off, because, look, nobody was going to have a showdown with this fucking asshole. They needed to cheap shot him. They needed to basically assassinate him, or he was going to win. And he more or less did win because he killed, like, fucking everybody but the main characters with plot armor. Oh yeah, of course, another thing worth complaining about is, yes, if your fucking ice dragon can explode castle buildings and explode the fucking wall, then Jon Snow should not be able to hide behind a rock. And no, Targaryens are not immune to dragonfire, at least not in the books. But, you know, the show is inconsistent. That is true. Okay, another thing is your Azor Ahai fan theory sucks. Let me hold up my little Rian Johnson card here. Again, irony. Your Azor Ahai autistic fan theory does indeed suck. You were not paying attention. Okay, it's much more clear in the books, again, a flaw in the show, that Azor Ahai is not the only magic in town. The Night King is non-Azor Ahai related magic. Daenerys has some other clear kind of magic. We know that there's all these other kind of people who can do magical things, but a lot of people think just because the Lord of Light is featured very heavily in the narrative and can raise the dead, that the prophecy is correct. Who is the prophecy's once and future king? This obvious Arthurian legend about a king who was and then comes back, who will kill his what do you call it? He killed his wife to make a magic sword and yada 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 yada. So anyway, who was Azor Ahai come again? I seem to remember that his name isn't Jon Snow or Aegon Targaryen. I believe Azor Ahai's name was Stannis Baratheon. How did that work out for him, huh? He got killed by a bulldyke most ignobly for being a traitorous douche canoe. Yeah, Melisandre was wrong repeatedly. That was a whole storyline with her. You do remember that this ageless level 20 fire witch from the fucking nothingness before the universe, whatever, who's, you know, not a beautiful woman, is in fact an old crone. Remember when she runs into Beric Dondarrion's bandit troop, and she sees Thoros of Myr, some drunk fucking retard who spends his days either, you know, getting wasted and then, you know, winning tourneys because he has a neat little parlor trick where he sets his sword on fire. Another little interesting thing about this Azor Ahai thing is that Azor Ahai had a flaming sword. Who else had a flaming sword in this episode? Fucking everybody. Beric Dondarrion, Thoros of Myr, all the Dothraki. It's not actually that interesting of a thing. But somehow everybody thought Jon Snow was going to have this new magic sword. He's going to have, like, the Red Master Sword or something. Again, wrong. The narrative doesn't fucking... You're stupid. You've watched too many dumbass fan theory YouTube videos. You're not paying attention anymore. You have a prejudicial bias. You're not paying attention to the actual show. Dumbass. So Stannis was Azor Ahai. And keep in mind... Melisandre saw Thoros of Myr raise Beric Dondarrion from the dead. This is an ageless fire witch, priestess of Azor Ahai, and she didn't know you could raise people from the dead, and it blew her fucking mind that some drunk fucking retard from Westeros could raise people from the dead at will. Blew her fucking mind. She was wrong repeatedly. She got lots and lots and lots of people killed. But you're going to base your entire expectation of what happens in this episode off of what this dumb bitch says. Who I guess was the one to give the command to the Dothraki to charge, because it wasn't Jorah Mormont, and it wasn't Daenerys, and it wasn't Jon. It must have been Melisandre, who set all their swords on fire. So, if you're basing all your expectations on Jon Snow's gonna have this sword fight on top of a roof or some shit, like fucking Die Hard style, against Night King, wrong. Night King repeatedly humiliates Jon Snow. That's part of the reason why Jon Snow has orchestrated all this shit, or more technically, Bran Stark fucking organized all this shit. Because a lot of people are forgetting that one of the fan theories that makes a hell of a lot more sense is that Bran has been orchestrating events to lead to this moment. And Bran gave that Valyrian dagger to Arya, basically telling her, you're going to be the one to kill him. And one of the few things that Melisandre said that was correct is she's going to kill some White Walkers. But again, you, Mr. Autistic Azor Ahai fan theory having retard, wasn't paying attention, were you? So, yes, Jon Snow was not going to be the one, and if he was going to be the one to kill the Night King, he was going to have to blindside him. Because I got to tell you, even though Jon Snow basically has the black sword from Ultima when it comes to the Night King, and he could one-shot White Walkers with it, the Night King wasn't going to let him do that. He was going to have to stab this motherfucker in the back. Or somebody was. And it could have been anyone. It could have even been Sam. It could have been Tyrion. Literally anybody who was clever enough or lucky enough to sneak up on the Night King and one-shot him was the way he was going to get down. Nobody was going to face this motherfucker down and live. That was not going to happen. But then you call that fan service. The thing that makes logical sense? What the fuck is wrong with you? So listen, there's been a lot fucking Jesus, can't talk this morning. There's a lot wrong with the show. A lot. There's a lot wrong with the narrative. There's a lot wrong with what we're being shown in order to produce some logical continuity of events. Yes, I know a lot of people are really mad that the Night King wasn't the final showdown. But why did it need to be? I do not think that any showdown with the Night King would have gone down any differently than a desperate Pyrrhic victory where the Night King kills virtually fucking everybody and then somebody gets a lucky shot in on him. You know, Franz Ferdinand's his ass and he goes down. That was the way this was going to happen. And there were two ways you could do it. Either the Night King kills literally fucking everyone on his way to Winterfell and is stopped there, or the Night King basically eliminates the entire fucking population of Westeros, excluding Dorne, and maybe Highgarden, and fucking kills everyone up to King's Landing, and virtually the same thing happens in King's Landing. There was no legitimate reason to throw a fit over this, and I just think you're stupid. I'm sorry, you really are stupid. So look, there's a lot of obvious flaws. Plot armor, tactical retardation that even a little kid could fucking try to, organize a defense of this castle and do a better job than everybody who did. The writers, of course, have had significant issues with not having retarded fucking things happen in the show. But it's just ironic to me that everything that people are throwing a fit about it on the show, you're wrong. And you're, in some ways, you're subjectively wrong, but for the most part, you are objectively wrong. The show was not too dark, okay? It did not need to be Jon Snow to slay the Night King in single combat because that was never going to happen. You're retarded. Shit like that. Daenerys landing her dragon in the middle of a fucking field of whites when she could have stayed hovering. Another thing, I know that's a bad thing with the episode and stupid, and there's a lot of those. But a lot of these are narratively unimportant, with the exception of the plot armor that a lot of characters seem to have. A lot of the issues with this episode are narratively unimportant or narratively important, and you're stupid for complaining about them. Like the darkness. This episode is so dark. I wonder why the fucking Night King would attack in the middle of the night and do his best to obscure the battlefield in order to terrify and his opponents and win the battle. What are you, retarded? You don't understand. Oh, they did it to save money on extras. Yeah, and it made the episode fucking really scary. Now, watching it back, you see how much of the episode is manipulative, and there's like fucking 10 straight minutes of tragic piano to slow motion montage. Who's gonna die? You don't know. Hold your breath for another 10 minutes because you don't know who's gonna die. The other shoe's gonna drop. Dun 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 dun. The other shoe's gonna dun 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 dun. Gonna drop. Dun 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 dun. Hold your breath. Dun dun dun. Sit on the edge of your seat. Yeah, it's not great on the second viewing, but it was great on the first viewing. I don't know why you would disagree. So yeah, hey look, I managed to cut down a rant, which really I could have ranted for an hour and talked much more at length about how you're ridiculous for calling Arya a Mary Sue, and you're ridiculous for needing Jon Snow to win this final battle. And you're not wrong about a lot of these little narrative, and yes, the writing of this show is bad. You are correct to complain about it. But was this episode bad? In my opinion, and I guess there's enough wrong with this episode that I do believe you can honestly say the episode is bad. There's enough right with this episode that I do believe you can honestly and objectively say the episode is good. However, you know, what I went over in this little 20-minute video is basically certain things that a lot of people are complaining about are stupid, invalid, objectively wrong complaints. Like the Azor Ahai thing primarily. Again, your autistic Azor Ahai fan theory is stupid and wrong. Wrong. Calling Arya Mary Sue, you are objectively wrong. Not subjectively, not a matter of opinion. You are factually incorrect. Faggot. So, basically, I'm surprised because nobody was harsher on Season 7 than me. No one was harsher on Season 5 than me. I liked this episode. I was satisfied with the end to the Night King saga. I don't understand how you couldn't be. Now, do I think most of this shit that's happening right now is going to happen in the books? No. They were already departing from the book's narrative in Season 4. There is a lot already different when they're still on the books in the show that lets me know that this is not the way a lot of these things go down. Hell, for all we know, Jon Snow stays dead in the books. So, you know, don't be too upset, because the books are better than the show, and we still have another chance to see everything go down a better way, okay? So don't be too fucking triggered. Oh, Cersei's the final boss. Why wouldn't she be? Why wouldn't she be? Oh yeah, you wanted Cersei and Jon Snow to team up and have the Night King raise the entirety. You see, up here, you see, okay, Wall, Winterfell, every fucking thing else in the world, and let me see if I can, you can barely see my left finger here, right where I'm pointing at right there, it's King's Landing. King's Landing right there. You would have had him kill everybody in the Stormlands, everybody in the Westerlands, kill everybody in the Reach, kill everybody in the North, kill everybody in the Neck, kill everyone in the Riverlands, and have your showdown in King's Landing? Or what? Cersei was supposed to basically violate her character, who was always going to betray them, and go and risk everything and go north to help the Starks? What are you, fucking stupid? I'm serious. Are you fucking retarded? There's a lot of reviewers that I respect who threw their own rants about this episode and expected that to happen. You are fucking insane. That was never going to happen. You are objectively unreasonable for expecting that. Go kill yourself. Alright? So anyway, yeah, there you go. 20 minutes rant on this episode. A lot of people are wrong about this episode. A lot of people are right about this episode. A lot of people who complained and praised the show were wrong. A lot of people who complained and bitched about this episode were wrong. Neither of them are right or wrong to complain about this episode, because I think, you know, it's really mixed. I let a lot of things slide to say officially I enjoyed this episode and I liked it. I admit that. And if you refuse to let those things slide, then yeah, the episode was bad. But, you know, like I said, you just listed a bunch of reasons why a bunch of people are fucking wrong. Alright? Thanks for watching.